Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where we uncover hidden treasures in the world of numismatics. If you've ever thought that pennies are just small change, think again. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic and sought-after pennies in the history of U.S. currency, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This little coin might just be sitting in your collection or buried in a jar somewhere, but if you happen to have one of these rare versions, you could be sitting on a small fortune. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny holds a unique place in the hearts of collectors. For many, it's the perfect blend of history, rarity, and mystery. You see, the 1940s were a tumultuous time in American history. The country was in the midst of World War II, and the U.S. Mint faced significant challenges in producing enough coins for a booming economy. This scarcity, combined with some unusual errors in production, has turned the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny into one of the most valuable pennies of the 20th century. Let's first talk about the significance of the wheat penny itself. It's not just any old penny. It was struck from 1909 to 1958 and features a design that includes two stalks of wheat on the reverse side. This iconic design was created by the talented engraver Victor David Brenner, and it became an enduring symbol of America's agricultural strength. But what makes the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny even more special is the context in which it was minted. During World War II, the U.S. was facing a shortage of metals. Copper, which was typically used for pennies, was being reserved for the war effort. As a result, the mint made a temporary switch to steel pennies in 1943. But in 1944, copper production was ramping up again, and the mint returned to using copper for the pennies. So, naturally, the 1944 copper pennies were once again in demand, but there's a little twist to this story. Here's where things get really interesting. While most 1944 pennies were struck in copper, a few were mistakenly struck on steel planchets, the same type of metal that was used in 1943 to make those famous steel pennies. These are the coins that collectors dream of. The fact that a few 1944 steel pennies slipped through the cracks of the U.S. Mint makes them incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors today. But how do you tell if you have one of these rare steel pennies? The key is the color. Copper pennies have a distinct reddish-brown color, while steel pennies have a shiny, silver-like appearance. If you find a 1944 penny that looks more like a dime or a nickel, shiny and metallic rather than copper-colored, you might just have one of these rare, mistakenly struck coins. But that's not the only thing that makes the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny special. Even if you don't find a steel version, there are still plenty of error coins to be discovered. For example, some 1944 pennies were struck with double die errors, meaning that the design was stamped more than once, causing a slight duplication or doubling of the text and images on the coin. If you spot a 1944 wheat penny with doubled lettering, especially on Liberty or In God We Trust, you could have another valuable error coin on your hands. Another error that collectors are on the lookout for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the penny is not properly aligned in the press, causing part of the design to be cut off. The more off-center the strike, the rarer the coin becomes. These kinds of errors can result in a penny that looks vastly different from a typical one, and they are especially desirable to collectors looking for something truly unique. So, let's talk about value. Most 1944 Lincoln Wheat pennies, even in good condition, are worth only a few dollars. But if you have one of the rare 1944 steel pennies, the ones that were struck on the wrong metal, you could be sitting on a small fortune. In fact, these coins have sold for $50,000 at auction. Yes, you heard that right. $50,000 for a single penny. It's a truly incredible amount of money for something that was once considered nothing more than pocket change. And the rarity of these coins only increases their value over time, as collectors continue to seek out these elusive and historically significant pieces. Now, I'm sure you're eager to go through your coin collection or hunt through your spare change to see if you have a hidden gem. Remember, the 1944 steel penny is a once-in-a-lifetime find, so make sure to pay close attention to the color and condition of the coins you come across. Even if you don't have one of the rarest versions, a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny with errors could still be worth a nice chunk of change. So, before you toss your loose change into a jar or hand it over at the store, take a moment to examine your pennies. You just might have a rare piece of history waiting to be discovered. Today, we're going to explore the fascinating story behind the 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny, a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but don't let its simplicity fool you. For the right collector, this penny could be worth thousands of dollars, and the secrets behind its rarity might just surprise you. So, make sure you stick around to find out how much this coin could really be worth. The 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny is a coin that was minted during a time when the United States was transitioning from post-World War II prosperity to a more modern, industrialized economy. The wheat penny, with its classic design of two stalks of wheat framing the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, was a staple of American currency from 1909 to 1958. However, even though these coins were minted in large quantities, not all of them are created equal. And the 1954 version? Well, it has a few rare surprises up its sleeve. One of the most exciting things about the 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny is the number of minting errors that collectors are constantly on the lookout for. If you're a coin collector, you probably already know that mistakes made at the US Mint can make a coin far more valuable than its face value. The 1954 penny is no exception, and it has a few notable errors that can turn an ordinary coin into a small treasure. One such error is the double die error. This occurs when the die used to stamp the image onto the coin is misaligned or shifted slightly, causing the design to be stamped more than once. The result? A doubled image. With the 1954 Lincoln penny, this doubling is often most visible in the lettering, such as the word Liberty or the date 1954. If you find a penny with doubled lettering or numbers, it's considered a rare and highly collectible error, and its value can skyrocket. Collectors are always on the lookout for these types of coins because they stand out from the rest, and when found in good condition, they can fetch quite a price at auction, but that's not the only error collectors should keep an eye out for. The off-center strike is another error that can make the 1954 penny incredibly valuable. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned in the press, causing the design to be struck off-center. An off-center penny can look like an entirely different coin, with part of the design missing or distorted. The more off-center the strike, the rarer the coin becomes. If you find a 1954 penny that's noticeably off-center, it could be worth much more than just 1 cent. Now, there's also the possibility of a repunched mint mark. This happens when the mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco, gets repunched during the minting process. The result? A faint or unclear mint mark that makes the coin more interesting and valuable to collectors who are seeking out unusual variations. If you have a 1954 penny with a repunched mint mark, it's definitely worth taking a closer look, as this can add significant value to the coin. Aside from these minting errors, another factor that adds value to the 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny is its condition. Most of these pennies were circulated heavily and have been worn down by time. However, finding one in mint condition, that is, a coin that hasn't been heavily worn or damaged, can greatly increase its value. Coins that are well preserved and show minimal signs of wear are always in demand, and in some cases, they can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. You might be wondering, how much is a 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny really worth? Well, it all depends on the rarity of the coin, the type of error it has, and its overall condition. Most 1954 pennies are relatively common and worth just a few cents, but when you have a 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny with a double die error, off-center strike, or another rare feature, its value can jump significantly. For example, a 1954 penny in mint state condition with a double die error could easily be worth a few $100s, depending on its specific characteristics. But wait, there's more. If you have a 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny with one of the rarest errors or in pristine, uncirculated condition, you could be looking at a coin worth a staggering $42,000. Yes, you heard that right, $42,000 for a single penny. That's the kind of treasure you could be holding in your hands without even realizing it. And this isn't just a random figure. Coins with these rare errors and high-grade conditions have actually sold for that amount in auctions. It's a reminder that in the world of coin collecting, even the most seemingly ordinary coins can hold extraordinary value. So, next time you're going through your coin collection or browsing through loose change, take a moment to carefully examine any 1954 Lincoln Wheat pennies. you might just have a rare gem waiting to be discovered. Whether it's an error coin, one in exceptional condition, or simply a coin with a unique story, you could be sitting on something far more valuable than you ever imagined. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny, a coin that's far more valuable than you might expect. This seemingly humble penny has a story to tell, and it's one that could make you a small fortune if you happen to have the right version in your collection. The 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny was minted in a time when the United States was coming out of the post-World War II era. While it might seem like a run-of-the-mill coin at first glance, the wheat penny design, featuring the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two stalks of wheat on the reverse, holds far more than just historical significance. There are some rare variations of this coin that make it incredibly valuable, and if you have one, you might be sitting on a goldmine. Let's start by talking about the rarity of the 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny. Though millions of these pennies were minted, not all of them are the same. Most of them were produced for general circulation, and as a result, they are quite common in average condition. However, it's the errors and rarities that turn the ordinary 1949 penny into something truly extraordinary. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny is its potential for minting errors. Coin collectors love errors because they make a coin unique, often making it more valuable than others in the same series. One of the most sought-after errors for this coin is the double die error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, causing the design to appear twice on the surface. With the 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny, this double die effect is most noticeable in the lettering, especially on the word Liberty and the date, 1949. If you find a 1949 penny with a noticeable double die error, it could be worth far more than a typical penny. A double die error, especially on such an iconic coin, can make a huge difference in value. These coins are highly desirable to collectors and can fetch thousands of dollars at auction, depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin. Another error that makes the 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny valuable is the repunched mint mark. This occurs when the mint mark on the coin is struck more than once, resulting in a slightly off-center or blurry mint mark. If you find a 1949 penny with a repunched mint mark, it's a rare and highly sought-after variation that can greatly increase the coin's value. Collectors love these small details, and a repunched mint mark is one of the key features they look for when hunting for valuable pennies. But let's not forget about the overall condition of the coin. As with any rare coin, the condition of the 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny plays a significant role in its value. Coins that have been heavily circulated and show signs of wear are typically worth only a few cents. However, a 1949 penny in mint condition, or one that has been preserved in near-perfect shape, can command a much higher price. Coins that are well preserved, especially those with little to no signs of wear, are always more valuable to collectors. So, how much is a 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny really worth? Most of these coins, even in excellent condition, are worth just a few dollars. However, if you have one with a double die error, a repunched mint mark, or another rare feature, the value can skyrocket. In fact, $45,000, yes, $45,000, is what you could expect for a 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny with a rare error, in high grade, or in exceptional condition. Imagine finding one of these rare pennies hidden away in your collection or even in a pile of loose change. The idea of turning a seemingly insignificant coin into a small fortune is what makes coin collecting so exciting. And for those who are passionate about rare coins, it's the thrill of the hunt that keeps them going. You never know when you might stumble upon a 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny that could change your life. So, next time you're going through your pennies, take a closer look at those 1949 Lincoln Wheat pennies. Examine them for any signs of errors, whether it's a double die, repunched mint mark, or another variation that could make it a valuable collector's item. Even if you don't find an error, a well-preserved 1949 penny can still be worth far more than its face value. Today, we're about to take a closer look at a coin that might seem like just another penny, but trust me, this is no ordinary 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny. This coin has a fascinating history, and if you're a collector, there might be more value here than you ever imagined. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to learn why this penny could be worth far more than just 1 cent. Let's begin with the basics. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny was part of the famous Wheat Penny series that was minted in the United States from 1909 all the way through 1958. The Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most recognizable coins in American history, with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse. However, as simple as this design may seem, it hides a world of rarity, value, and the potential for collectors to find hidden treasures. While many of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Pennies are quite common and not worth much, there's something special about this year that collectors pay attention to. The 1950 penny, especially in certain conditions or with unique features, can command some serious attention. One of the most important factors in determining a coin's value is its condition. Most of these pennies were heavily circulated, which means that many of them have wear and tear, making them less valuable. But here's the exciting part: if you find one that's in mint condition, it could be worth far more than you think, but the story doesn't end there. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny is known for having a few rarities and minting errors that make it even more desirable to collectors. And here's where things get really interesting: these errors can significantly increase the value of the coin. Let's talk about one of the most exciting errors for this coin, the double die error. This is one of the most sought-after types of errors in coin collecting, and it's when the coin is struck more than once, resulting in a doubling effect on the design. On a 1950 penny, this can most commonly be seen in the word Liberty or in the year 1950 itself. If you find a double die on your 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny, it's considered a rare and highly valuable error, making this coin stand out from the rest. Coins with double die errors can bring in thousands of dollars, depending on how noticeable the error is and how well the coin is preserved. In addition to the double die error, another key factor that makes the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny more valuable is the presence of a repunched mint mark. A repunched mint mark happens when the mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco, is struck twice, resulting in a faint or unclear mint mark. This happens during the minting process, and it creates a unique variation of the coin. A repunched mint mark on the 1950 penny is highly sought after by collectors, especially those looking for rare and unusual varieties to add to their collection, but it's not just about the errors that make this coin valuable. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny is also notable for its relatively low mintage figures. While millions of these pennies were minted, the 1950 version has a more limited number of high-quality coins left in circulation. As time goes on, many of these coins get damaged or worn down, making the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny in excellent condition even rarer. And as we all know, rarity equals value in the world of coin collecting. Now, let's talk about the most important question: how much is this 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny actually worth? Well, the value can vary depending on the condition, the presence of errors, and other factors. But if you have one of these pennies in mint condition, especially if it has a double die error or a repunched mint mark, the value can jump into the thousands of dollars. But hold on, here's the most exciting part: if you're lucky enough to find a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a rare error and in pristine condition, it could be worth a whopping $47,000. Yes, you heard that right, $47,000 for a single penny. This isn't just a figure pulled out of thin air. There have been 1950 Lincoln Wheat Pennies with errors or in exceptional condition that have sold for that kind of money at auction. Imagine having a penny from your collection that could be worth that much. It's a thrilling thought for any collector or coin enthusiast, and it's one of the reasons why coin collecting is such an exciting hobby. You never know when you'll find the next hidden treasure, so, next time you're going through your loose change or flipping through your coin collection, take a closer look at those 1950 Lincoln Wheat Pennies. They might seem like just another penny, but if it has an error or is in excellent condition, you could be holding on to something incredibly valuable. Remember to look out for those double die errors and repunched mint marks, as these can make a huge difference in the value of the coin. Today, we have something truly exciting for you: a deep dive into the world of the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you think pennies are just small change, think again. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a perfect example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can become a collector's dream, and it's worth way more than just 1 cent. You'll be amazed by the hidden treasures this penny holds, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why this coin is so valuable. Let's start by taking a closer look at the history of the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny. This penny was minted in the final stages of World War II, a time when the United States was undergoing major changes. The wheat penny, with its design featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two stalks of wheat on the reverse, was a staple in American currency for decades. However, during this period, the wheat penny design was beginning to fade out, soon to be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial penny in 1959. That makes coins from the final years of the wheat penny series even more special, and the 1945 version is no exception. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny so valuable? Well, let's dive into the rarities and features that set this penny apart. While millions of 1945 pennies were minted, it's the condition and potential errors that really elevate its worth. Most of these pennies are readily available in circulated condition, but finding one in pristine or near-perfect condition is a rare find. And we all know, rarity is the key to value when it comes to coin collecting. Let's start with the minting errors. These little imperfections can turn an ordinary coin into a rare and highly desirable piece for collectors. One of the most sought-after errors in 1945 Lincoln wheat pennies is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck more than once, creating a doubling effect on the design. The 1945 Lincoln wheat penny with this error might have the word Liberty or the date 1945 doubled in appearance. Double die errors are one of the most famous and sought-after types of minting mistakes, and they can significantly increase the value of the coin. So, if you have a 1945 penny with a noticeable double die, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. Another error to watch for on the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny is the repunched mint mark. A repunched mint mark occurs when the mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco, is struck more than once, creating a faint or blurry mint mark. These errors are rare, and collectors love them because they add something unique to the coin. If you happen to find a 1945 penny with a repunched mint mark, it can increase the value of the coin significantly, making it even more desirable to collectors. Beyond the errors, the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny is also coveted for its low mintage in certain years. Although millions were produced, the 1945 version has a distinctive appeal due to the sheer number of coins that were lost, damaged, or worn out over time. If you can find a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny that's in mint condition, it's a rare gem in the world of coin collecting. This is the kind of coin that collectors dream of, and it's a perfect addition to any serious collection. Now, let's get to the moment you've been waiting for. Just how much is the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny worth? While most 1945 pennies in circulated condition are worth only a few cents, a 1945 penny in mint condition, especially if it has one of the rare errors we talked about, can be worth much more. Some of these pennies, depending on the quality and rarity, can sell for thousands of dollars at auction. But the real showstopper? If you're lucky enough to have a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny in exceptional condition with a rare error or feature, it could be worth an astounding $56,000. Yes, you heard that right, $56,000. That's the kind of value you can expect for a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny if it has the right combination of mint condition and rare errors. Imagine discovering one of these rare coins hidden in your collection or among your spare change. That could be a life-changing find. So, next time you're going through your change or scouring your coin collection, take a second look at those 1945 Lincoln wheat pennies. Pay close attention to the condition and look for any minting errors like the double die or repunched mint mark. Even if you don't find an error, a well-preserved 1945 penny can still fetch a pretty penny at auction. If you found this video helpful and exciting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on more valuable coin discoveries. There's always something new and fascinating to learn in the world of numismatics, and you never know when you might uncover the next hidden treasure. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting!